So what I will say is that for as it relates to domestic violence, we're men and women are both going through it. It is an absolute challenge for men. What I would say, and just to try and keep these scales at least balanced, I would say this, and this is interesting because Kevin Samuels talked about this also for years before Kevin Samuels actually gained fame. He counseled men and was just as harsh and critical to men as he was to women. And guess what? His big complaint was nobody cared. For the years that he sat there going in on men and telling them, listen, you need to get your act together before you actually take on the challenge of leading a woman and being in a relationship and being the alpha. You need to get your stuff together. You need to make sure you got your vision, you got your plan, you're working, right? And no excuses. And he was having at these men and nobody cared. Nobody paid attention. It wasn't until he started turning that same sort of critical eye on women and holding them accountable, just as he had been holding the men, and all of a sudden the controversy came into play, which I think is part of the issue. Men understand that we take criticism, we take critique, and we need to handle it. Can women do the same, particularly if they're independent, living out here in this new world in the 21st century, which is a whole nother thing. So if one thing I will say, if you have suffered domestic violence, and if that is an issue and you finding good men, or if you're a man finding good women, seek, get professional help.
Correct.
Period.
Absolutely.
End of story. Period. End of story. Until you do that, that will always be an issue in your relationships.
Yes, it will.
So I want to get to one other issue here, and how is that a challenge in women seeing the good men out here? And this speaks a little more culturally into our community, yours and mine, but I think that this is also cross race and culture. But there's this idea out there, and I know I've heard it, that Black men don't support Black women as they should, as needed.
So that thought, it's so many dimensions to that. Because number one, I actually have heard that statement before. Someone did say that to me, that, and actually can say that I've seen that. So I've seen on social media, a person will have a video and the female is having an altercation with a man. And I don't know if the person's his boy or whatever, but the man is being disrespectful to the woman, and his friend or whoever he's with, whatever, will turn his head and not inject. But again, that's why I said there's so many dynamics, because some men will say, well, she started it, I don't want to get involved, I've gotten involved before and that turned out wrong for me because she went back to him. I mean, there's so many dimensions in that. Support can definitely come from upbringing and experiences. So as I mentioned with that particular example, he didn't want to support because he's had a bad example with trying to support and it turning in a negative consequence for him. Or support could be upbringing. Did the parents or grandmother or aunt or guardian teach them what support looks like? Because if you're not taught, you're not exposed, how can you support if you don't know what to do? So those are different things that I think can contribute to it. It can be experience, it can be upbringing, it can be so many things. Yes, sometimes a person can feel like they're not getting that support from our counterpart, meaning the Black male. And yes, I've seen many Black men out there supporting and making sure he has her back. So I think that's open to interpretation, open to experience. I don't think there's one correct answer for that particular statement or question.
There isn't, but I think that you bring up 2 points and that we keep addressing. One, we've got to get our gender roles together.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that one more time. We need to get our gender roles together. I don't know if we need to have a kumbaya meeting. I don't know if we as men and women just need to get together and just come to some accord where we just make an agreement. Okay, this is the man's role. This is the woman's role. Because I've heard that conversation too, where a man will open the door for a woman and get cussed out. I don't need no man to open the door. I mean, it's literally where the dude gets cussed out because he opened the door for a woman. And now he's stuck there going, well, I don't even know what to do anymore, because the next woman he doesn't open the door for, guess what? He gets cussed out. You ain't no real man, or you must not have been taught right. And then we're sitting there confused. I'm gonna tell you that right now, confused, because we don't know what you want. That's a whole Lord, that's a whole nother conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because we could go on for days with that one.
Yes, because that reminds me, you know what? I'm going to go there. That reminds me of a joke. And this is part of the issue too, about our expectations. About what we're looking for. There's this joke I heard years ago that I think really is appropriate here. And here's the joke. Mm-hmm. There's a woman's store that men can go to, right? Mm-hmm. And in this woman's store, there's different floors where there's different attributes for women that you can shop for and get, and you find your woman, right? So the first floor, it's woman who can cook, right? These women know how to cook. And most men, they're good right there on the first floor. They find their woman, they're out, right? But it says, more values on the second floor. So in the second floor, it's, a woman who can cook and, she loves children. And men are like, that's good. I like that, right? They find their woman, they're gone. And it's, more attributes on the third floor. On the third floor, maybe it's women who can cook, she loves children, and she loves sports. Sorry, 99% of the men out there right then and there, they're good. They found their woman. There's other attributes on the fourth floor, but they're like, nope, I'm good. And, 99% of the men, they found their woman right then and there. Mm-hmm. Now, the flip side is there's also a men's store where women can go shopping for their men and they can find their man. And the same setup, right? There's some attributes on the first floor, second, whatever. Now, the issue is you can't come back down, right? Once you find your man, you can't go back down. If you found an attribute, you can't go back down. You find your man, you go. So here we go. So the first floor, it's, men who can cook, right? They were like, ooh, that's intriguing. I like that, right? And it's okay, well, what's on the second floor? They get to the second floor is men who can cook and men who are financially secure. Like, shoot, that sounds real good. Okay, I want to know what's on floor 3. So they go to floor 3 and it's, men who could cook, they're financially secure. And third floor is they're men who love children. Oh, shoot, that's, I'm good here. Okay, I want to know what's on floor 4. And they go to floor 4 and it's something else that a man has that she really wants. She's, oh my God, that sounds real good. What's on floor 5? And she goes to floor 5, floor 6, floor 7. And then finally it's like, floor 8. Here's, there's more attributes. And she gets to floor 8 and floor 8 says, sorry, ladies, but this is actually just a test floor. We have finally proven that women just cannot be satisfied. Please do not go back down to any other floor. Please exit to the door on your right. And 99% of the women are exiting on the 8th floor without having found a man.
So there's the problem right there.
Yes,
never being satisfied.
Because it's a joke. It's a joke.
But it's real.
But the humor is in the truth of it. Talk to me about that, about our expectations and our different expectations that we have of each other.
So the fact that that joke presented people, men and women, as not being satisfied. So you have all these great attributes, but it's not enough. Like, why didn't people stop at the 5th or 6th floor and just take that and walk off? Because subliminally, they're probably seeking perfection. So there's the problem right there. If you're seeking perfection and the reality of it all is that there's no perfect person in there, but in your mind, you feel, oh, well, there is. I mean, I know what I dealt before and I know that this is what I'm looking for. But again, you're looking for perfection, which is unrealistic. So what we need to bear in mind with that is that even though there's no perfection in an individual, there still can be a person who's perfect for you. He doesn't have to be perfect. She doesn't have to be perfect, but they can be perfect for you. And that's what we need to bear in mind. Stop having these false expectations, because at the end of the day, Are you willing to receive the fact that he's not looking at you as the perfect individual?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not. You're
Yeah.
not. So you need to be fair. It's two-sided. And many
Absolutely.
times we get into these relationships with a one-sided mentality. And that's why off the break, you're going into a relationship that's not going to work because it's one-sided.
I hope somebody out there heard that. That's all I got to say. I hope somebody.
Well, hopefully they'll see.
I
Hopefully
hope
when they
somebody
see this
heard that.
interview,
Yeah. Okay. I
they'll
hope
think
somebody
about that
heard.
because those are facts. Whether a
Yes.
person is married, in a relationship, courting, whatever title we're going to give it, we have to remember no perfection exists. That's unrealistic.
Yes.
Is it fairy tale land? Of course. Do we want it? Of course. And there's nothing wrong with shooting for the top. But at the end of the day, you got to separate optimism and be a realist.
Right. Right.
And so,
not
yes, that
world.
person may not check every single box that you want, but at the end of the day, they may check 9 out of the 10 boxes. They may even check 6 out of the 10. It doesn't mean that that relationship can't be successful because they only check 6 out of the 10.
And it's funny. You bring up another issue that I want to just jump in real quick in terms of expectations and what we're looking for. Even how we view being married is different. Men are looking to marry so that they can have legacy. They want children, right? So that they can pass on their legacy to their kids. That's why we want to be married. We're looking for women who can help us build that. And so when we get married, men, we're not thinking of the marriage day. Like that's not on our mind. That's just something we got to get through to be married. Women focus so much on the wedding, on being that princess for the day, on showing off all the pictures and the videos. And girl, this was my, matter of fact, women will go out there and say, it was my day. I've seen women do it. It was my day. And it was almost as if the groom could have literally been that little figurine on the cake and you could just put any face you want over the figurine. The man almost doesn't even matter. It's just she's focused so much on dreaming for years about this day, wearing this white dress, and then spends the rest of her life, or maybe just a year or two, trying to figure out, well, how do I keep this man? What's the work I gotta do? But haven't even focused on that.
That's what you brought up is so complicated. Because I have to pull you back some. You're talking about the marriage. Let me pull you back some. Why don't we talk about the dating? Why don't we talk about the ring? Again, that's going to be a separate topic because when we start with the ring, the man showing the ring, buying the ring, purchasing the ring as a symbolism. Whereas the female that's receiving the ring, she's caught up on what the ring looks like. So he could love her to the moon and back, but he brings her something under 1 carat, let's say. It's thanks, baby.
Right.
And then the rest of the world is like, oh, that's all he bought for you.
That's all. He must not love you. So, he must not love you. He don't love you.
You're on the marriage. We can't even get that far because it's a show. Yeah. And the thing that women are guilty of is we're so busy trying to impress the next woman. You didn't hear me say man. Oh, you didn't hear me say man. I said the next woman because she wants her to be envious of what she has over here. Oh boy. I think I touched on some nerves.
I think some toes just got stepped on. That's real. I know that's real. And I'm a man and I can tell you that's real because I've actually sat and listened to women talk about that. It's real. And ladies, as a man, I'm telling you, you got to start changing your mentality if you're looking, because these good men are out there. Yeah. They're out there. I'm just telling you. I know some of these good men that are being ignored. That was how I started all this. I know some real good men out there that are being ignored because your focus is different. And so I want to finish up with just this thought. And and this is the advice I have for the ladies out there. For the men, it's a whole different issue, right? Because it's kind of like what I talked about before. Men, before you actually can be the alphas and be the leaders, you got to get your stuff together. Period. End of story. But the reason why I'm focused on the women is because I don't hear men out there saying we're all the good women. I don't hear that. I don't hear it. We recognize that there are good women out there and we're on the hunt and going to get them. So the reason why this show is happening is because I'm hearing women out there saying we're all the good men, and I'm sorry. I think you're missing it, because there are some real good men out there. So this is my advice to the ladies out there who are saying we're all the good men and I don't see them and blah 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 blah. If you're gonna, basically getting a man is just like fishing. It's just like fishing. And so if you're going to be fishing, if you're fishing for men, where are you fishing? You got to go to the right pool. You need to go where the fish are. I mean, it sounds simple, don't it? If you're going fishing, in order to get fish, you need to go where the fish are. If you're looking for fish and you got your fishing pole in a bathtub, I'm sorry, it's got a lot of water in it, but you ain't getting no fish. You need to go where the fish are. And here's what I mean about that. There's a woman named Melanie King who actually has her own YouTube channel. She's actually a protege of Kevin Samuels, and she's a very interesting lady. And she actually said something about her attire and about fishing, because let's be real, ladies, how you dress is part of your fishing for men, right? And women are conscious of this. I know I ain't telling y'all nothing you don't know. Melanie said something I thought was fascinating. She said, how you dress can either get you in a man's bed or keep you on his mind.
Facts. I agree. I'm not negating anything she said. That's the absolute truth. So when we go out there, we're putting on our attire to look cute.
How are you fishing? Where are you fishing?
That complicates things, because if she's too provocative, in her eyes, she's like, oh, I'm looking good. I'm pulling him because, I have cleavage showing. Everything's form fitting. But sometimes, unfortunately, that mentality can send the wrong message. So while she's thinking she's being provocative in terms of reeling him in because she's attractive, now the man might see her as being easy. I use the word might because I'm not applying this to everybody. Right. He might see her as being easy, but that's not what she was trying to portray. She was just like, I'm cute and I'm trying to bring you in because I'm cute, but it might send the wrong message. And a whole nother complication. You opened up a whole other can of worms, and you sent the wrong message, which is what I mean about communication. Know your audience. What are you projecting when you're communicating your thoughts to those recipients?
Yes. Because you will get plenty of attention from men.
Oh, you will, but it could be negative attention.
Right. And you won't be finding the men that you say you're looking for. You'll get attention from everybody, right?
You sure will.
Yeah, girl.
It may not be the attention you want, though.
Yeah, exactly. And so part of the fishing is knowing what bait. Anybody that ever fished before, and pardon me if you're not a fisher, I get it. I don't fish that much either, but I do fish. Part of fishing is knowing what bait to use. You have to use the right bait. If you're looking for a particular type of fish, you got to know what that fish likes. You got to know what that fish is after. If you're
knowing your audience, absolutely.
Thank you. Just like you said, exactly. Know your audience. If you're looking for good men, you have to know what good men want. And I have a challenge for you, ladies. Good men are not looking for the same things in women that you're looking for in men.
Facts.
We look for different things in each other. That's part of the process. You have to know what we want. You can't place your values on us. In other words, we're not necessarily looking for a woman that has all these degrees and has business. That's not what good men necessarily are looking for. That could be part of it. Yes, but that's not what we're looking for. And so that's part of it. And then the second thing is you need to go where these good men are. Right? You're not going to find these quote unquote good men who, however you define good men. I'm defining them as men who have vision, who are building or already built, who are strong men, who are looking for or have women that they protect, that they provide for, and that they build their legacy with. That to me is a good man. And you need to go to the right places if you're looking for these good men. You're not going to find them on Instagram, showing off your cleavage. You're not going to find these good men there. You're not going to find them, on Twitter. You're not going to find them at some club. And again, there's always exceptions to the rule, but the exception proves the rule. You need to go to the right places. And these good men are out there. These good men are in your libraries. They're at church. They're at picnics, celebrating cultural festivals. They're, they're everywhere. But you got to know where to go. And I just wanted your thoughts on that, just as a woman, what your advice is, and then we'll wrap up.
So in terms of, you mentioned club, I'm not saying there aren't any there, and I'm not saying there are any there. What I am saying is, when you decide to go to certain environments and that's where you found him, you have to remember, and not, you can't take it personal. You can't, I'll even go as far as to say, how can you get upset when you go to a club, you meet him, things develop, you end up getting into a relationship with this individual, but he still wants to go to the club. How are you mad? That's where you met him. Right. How are you mad? So we have to be mindful of these places, these environments that we are meeting these individuals and developing a rapport or a relationship, if it goes that far, with these people, because church is always a blessing, and you mentioned that, and that is a positive place to find him. But you have to keep in mind, this man that you're meeting in church, he might heavily be in the Bible, and there's some things in the Bible that he may live by: submission. You may not necessarily be on board with. So I'm just saying, be very mindful where you find these men.
Yes.
Is it meeting up to what you want out of the relationship? You can meet him there, but he still has different ideals for what he wants versus what you want. And it has to match up. You have to be able to compromise all those things. So I'm not discouraging. I'm not saying you can't meet a man in church. I'm not saying you can't meet a man in club, because, Steve, just like you said, there's exceptions to every rule. Yeah. But you have to keep all these other factors in your mind when you're meeting this person.
Thank you so much, Evette. It's been such a pleasure having you here. Thank you. We literally could go on for hours because it's such a complicated issue. But the whole point was to just bring up the issue, because we really need to have these conversations and continue having them. There's a lot that we put out on the table to chew on. For everybody listening, please put your comments below. We would love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on whether or not, why are women having such a hard time finding good men or seeing good men? Tell us your thoughts. We would love to interact with you and get your feedback on your thoughts on this, because all we can give is our truth, our version of it, what we see.
Absolutely. That's what we're giving, which might be different for someone else.
Absolutely. And so we want to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe to Your Inner Champion, so that it helps this channel reach other people just like you who are looking for this kind of content, and hit the like button. It helps the channel. And so with that, I'm going to say thank you for watching Your Inner Champion. Thank you, Evette, so much for being a part of our discussion today. Really appreciate it. And we look forward to hearing more. I'm looking forward to bringing you back, because there's some more stuff we left out there on the table that I think
that's my pleasure.
Sounds good. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, Evette. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you again on Your Inner Champion.